Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Finally. Frickin' finally. Honestly, I've been asking this question for a very long time. I mean, basically since the early Trump days. Where is the Republican Party? Every time I refer to these hoaxes and these witch hunts, I tend to say, it's man versus machine. It's Donald Trump versus the world. And I say that because for the most part it's true. And especially back in 2017, 2018, it was Donald Trump versus not only the Democrats, the Democrat establishment, the Uniparty establishment, but it was Donald Trump also against the Republican establishment. It's been one man versus the entire Washington machine. And all we've been saying, or all I've been asking, is for that to change at least a little bit. Can the man get a little bit of frickin' support? Well, today it seems as though that finally changed. Donald Trump shows up in court, and this time he's not alone with his legal team. It's not Donald Trump with just some of his close family members. No, it's Donald Trump and friends. Finally, we're seeing some solidarity behind the former president. We're seeing some courage and willingness to stand up against the weaponization of the justice system from at least some key figures. And while legally that might not mean much or mean anything, symbolically it means a whole frickin' lot. This is the kind of thing that could actually change public perception. It's time for the Republican Party to do its job and stand up against this clear corruption and election interference. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so exactly as I stated, Donald Trump shows up in the same spot as every other day, does his typical expected spiel.
Our president now in court, about to speak to the cameras. Let's drop on in.
Surrogates, and they are speaking very beautifully, and they come all from all over Washington, and they're highly respected, and they think this is the greatest scam they've ever seen. And some are Democrats. They're very embarrassed by what's going on.
Except this time, you might have noticed, he had a little bit of a posse, a little bit of an entourage behind him. Byron Donalds, Doug Burgum, Vivek Ramaswamy, Corey Mills, I think J.D. Vance showed up yesterday or the day prior as well, and yes, even Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson, which I'm not exactly excited for. It seems like it could be perceived as a political move to get himself back on good terms with the Trump base after his horrible betrayal a couple months ago. But anyways, the whole Mike Johnson tangent, not really interested. The point is, what I really want to focus on is how important this is. This right here is what's been missing. A staunch defense and standing by the former president, and of course at the time the president, during Donald Trump's first 4 years in office. That's what's been missing from the equation. People have been lacking the courage to put their own necks on the line to do what's right, regardless of whether or not it's perceived as controversial by the dominant American cultural hegemony. If the Republican Party actually united behind this president, imagine what the downstream effect would be if every single day you turned on the news and this is what you were hearing.
What have we learned here today? What we've learned is that Michael Cohen, who has no credibility, who has purged himself multiple times, who has zero integrity, has actually admitted to defrauding the Trump organization. He has listed his invoices as being an actual legal precedent where, in fact, he's now claiming that it's something other than that, and that he knowingly and fraudulently put that forward. Look, as we talked about, why do they want this trial to continue? Well, they want it to continue because this is the fundraising source for Adam Schiff, for Biden, and for the Democrat opponents. This is nothing more than election interference at its finest.
This is a politicized persecution that is nakedly apparent. What I want to do is dive a little bit deeper into what we actually learned today in that courtroom. What do we see in there? First of all, I learned a lot from being in there in person. It is one of the most depressing places I have been in my life, but it is fitting because the only thing more depressing than the environment of that courtroom is what's actually happening in there. It's straight out of a Kafka novel. The prosecution's main strategy appears to be to bore the jurors into submission. And if you look in that direction, sadly, it may appear to actually be working. The whole case that Alvin Bragg has brought depends on one premise for them to charge this as a felony, is that Donald Trump somehow should have used campaign funds to make an allegedly personal payment. Yet if he had done that, their case against him would be even stronger. This is garbage. That is the best proof that you have that if they're going to get him Cohen or get him coming, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. This is a sham. This is not the United States of America. This is some third-rate banana republic. If this were happening in another country, we would be laughing at them as a sham democracy. I am ashamed as an American citizen to sit here in a courtroom watching the former leader of the free world, and let's be honest, likely next leader of the free world, sitting with the indignity in this dingy third-rate courtroom with fourth-rate prosecutors and a fifth-rate lawyer on the stand as a witness, who actually is violating attorney-client privilege left and right. Nobody's even talking about that.
Ladies and gentlemen of America, this trial is a joke. This thing is a farce. We were in there all morning. Michael Cohen basically sat there and said, yeah, he invoiced legal expenses. The Trump campaign, the Trump organization, not the campaign, paid out money in legal expenses. Where's the crime? There is no crime. The only crime that's happening here is this Democrat judge and the Democrat Party prosecuting their political rival right in the middle of a presidential election. And there's nothing wrong. There's nothing that has been wrong here. Nothing that has been done poorly by President Trump. The only thing that's being done wrong is by this judge. His daughter's making money, raising money for Democrats. And all of the fundraising emails and all the fundraising things are about this trial that his daughter is using. He won't recuse himself. This is a travesty of justice. This is a misuse of the justice system.
I mean, look, they're arguing that he committed a paperwork violation in service of a crime, but they can't identify the crime that he actually committed. And you have serial perjurer Michael Cohen sitting up there. He's the prosecution's star witness. And if a serial liar is your star witness, you really don't have much of a case. Now, aside from that, aside from the actual legitimacy of this case, this gag order, Martha, is, I think, an insult not just to Donald Trump or even primarily to Donald Trump. It's an insult to the American people. We deserve to have a real presidential election where Joe Biden and Donald Trump make their cases to the American people.
If that's what the public was subjected to every single day, imagine how many millions of minds would change, and imagine how many more people would embrace their Trump support rather than being shy about it. You know, the infamous shy Trump voter, the secret Trump voter. That would not be a phenomenon, or at least not to the extent that it currently is, if Donald Trump's own party didn't treat him as a pariah or as a brand risk. This should be happening every single day, and to be honest with you, there should be 10 times more Republican politicians standing behind Donald Trump every day at the courthouse, driving the point forward, making the argument that the majority of the populace actually already agrees with, that this whole case is a sham. I mean, we're not talking about risking your political brand to address the public, address the media, and lie for Donald Trump. I think the argument in support of President Trump is quite strong. You know, especially the element where Alvin Bragg's case, or the core issues revolving around these payments, failed to outline an actual crime committed. Let's talk about the nature of the payments themselves. Hush money payments are not illegal. And even if Donald Trump had conspired on his own to clearly deceive the public and violate campaign finance laws, how do you demonstrate intent? It's pretty difficult to establish intent beyond a reasonable doubt, especially when Donald Trump was simply following the counsel of his lawyer at the time, Michael Cohen. Then, of course, we have the FEC and DOJ decisions. Both the Federal Elections Commission and the Department of Justice have previously declined to pursue charges against Trump for these payments. That sets a pretty clear legal precedent, which complicates Alvin Bragg's case. It suggests that the federal agencies who looked into these payments didn't see a clear and prosecutable crime. Then we have the statute of limitations, which has clearly run out on this case, given that the payments were made back in 2016. The word that keeps coming up is absence. The absence of a clear and direct crime. There's obviously so much missing. There's no definition of an exact crime being committed. There's no proof of intent. What happened? Who did it? It's all just hearsay. It's all based on Michael Cohen's testimony, a known perjurer and liar. This was always known as the weakest case they had. Even Bill Maher admitted that recently.
So, it's stormy or bust.
Quote, it's stormy or bust. Republicans ought to wake up and realize the opportunity here to stand up against Michael Cohen, Alvin Bragg, Stormy Daniels, Joe Biden, the whole lot of them. The more we see of this, the more we see actual unity. I truly believe the higher Donald Trump will surge in the polls. It's a good start, it's good optics, and I hope it continues. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.